Karen claimed my helicopter was illegal. She was evacuated in it 3 weeks later during Wildfire. What would you do if someone tried to shut down your passion for helping others, only to rely on it to save their life? In the small mountain town of Crestwood, nestled deep in the Sierra Nevada, a wildfire's roar would expose one woman's hypocrisy in a blaze of irony. This is the story of Jordan, a volunteer firefighter with a helicopter, and Karen, the neighbor who wanted him grounded until the flames came for her. Jordan had been a fixture in Crestwood for years, a former Marine who traded combat missions for a quieter life as a volunteer firefighter. His pride and joy was a Black Robinson R-44 helicopter, a nimble four-seater he'd saved for a decade to buy. He used it to train with the local fire department, dropping water on practice burns and occasionally ferrying supplies to remote areas. The chopper wasn't just a tool, it was his way of giving back, of protecting the tight-knit community he called home. But not everyone saw it that way. Karen, a retired lawyer who'd moved to Crestwood for its serene views, had a problem with Jordan's helicopter. From the moment she settled into her sprawling cabin overlooking the valley, she declared the chopper's flights a public nuisance. It started with complaints about the noise. "It's like living next to an airport," she'd snap at town hall meetings, her voice sharp enough to cut through the murmurs of agreement. She'd glare at Jordan, who sat quietly in the back, his calloused hands folded. Karen didn't stop at noise complaints. She dug into local regulations, claiming Jordan's helicopter lacked proper permits and was illegally operating over private land. She rallied a small group of newcomers, wealthy retirees who traded city life for mountain estates, and they bombarded the town council with petitions to ban Jordan's flights. Jordan tried reasoning with her. One crisp autumn evening, he knocked on Karen's door, offering to show her the helicopter's logs and certifications. "I'm just trying to keep this town safe," he said, his voice steady but earnest. Karen wasn't having it. "You're no hero," she scoffed, arms crossed. "You're a hobbyist with a loud toy, and I'll make sure it's grounded." She slammed the door, leaving Jordan standing on her porch, the distant hum of crickets mocking the silence. The town council, overwhelmed by Karen's legal threats, issued a temporary restriction on Jordan's flights pending a full review. His helicopter sat unused in a rented hangar, a symbol of his sideline purpose. 3 weeks later, the Crestwood fire changed everything. It started as a spark in the dry foothills, fanned by Santa Ana winds that screamed through the valley at 60 miles an hour. By noon, the blaze had swallowed 10,000 acres, its smoke choking the sky into an apocalyptic orange. Crestwood's evacuation orders came fast, but the fire's speed outpaced the roads. Atlas Peak Road, the only route out of the valley, was blocked by fallen trees and flames licking at the asphalt. Families were trapped, and the fire department's ground crews couldn't reach everyone. Panic set in as cell service dropped and power lines sparked in the distance. Enter Mike, a local mechanic and Jordan's longtime friend, who'd been quietly following the drama. Mike had seen Jordan's helicopter save lives before. During a flood 2 years prior, it had airlifted an elderly couple from a stranded cabin. When news of the fire's spread hit, Mike didn't hesitate. He called Jordan, who was already fueling up his R-44. "Restrictions be damned. People are stuck up there," Mike said, his voice crackling over the spotty line. "You're our best shot." Jordan didn't need convincing. He filed a quick emergency clearance with the FAA, citing imminent danger to life, and took to the skies. The scene was chaos. Through his night vision goggles, Jordan saw a 3-mile wall of fire advancing on Crestwood's upper ridge, where Karen's cabin sat among others. He landed in a clearing near a cluster of homes, rotor wash kicking up dust and ash. Families ran toward him, clutching bags and pets, faces streaked with fear. Jordan worked fast, loading a family of 4 into the chopper, 2 kids, their mom, and a trembling golden retriever. "I'll be back," he promised, lifting off to drop them at a safe zone near the town's fire station. Over the next 6 hours, he made 15 trips, rescuing 38 people, 3 dogs, and a cat. Each flight was a gamble through smoke so thick it burned his lungs, the chopper's blades slicing through gusts that threatened to push him off course. On his 10th trip, Jordan landed near Karen's cabin. She was there, standing in her driveway, a designer suitcase at her feet, her face pale as she watched flames crest the hill. She didn't recognize Jordan at first, his helmet and goggles obscuring his face. "Get in!" he shouted over the roar of the rotors. Karen hesitated, then scrambled aboard, clutching her suitcase like a lifeline. Jordan didn't have time for irony, was too focused on the fire's heat radiating through the cockpit. He flew her to the safe zone, where she stumbled out, muttering a shaky thank you, before disappearing into the crowd of evacuees. The twist came later, at a community meeting after the fire was contained. Karen, now safe but humbled, stood up to speak. The room tensed, expecting another tirade. Instead, she recounted how Jordan's helicopter had saved her life, her voice cracking as she admitted she'd been wrong. "I thought he was reckless," she said, eyes downcast. "But he risked everything for us." The crowd was silent, then erupted in applause for Jordan, who sat quietly, his hands folded as always. Mike, standing in the back, caught Jordan's eye and grinned, whispering, "Told you she'd come around." Karen's reckoning didn't end there. The town council, swayed by the community's gratitude, lifted the restrictions on Jordan's helicopter unanimously. Karen faced her own consequences, not legal but social. Her petitions had alienated neighbors who now saw her as the woman who'd tried to stop their savior. She kept a low profile, her cabin's for sale sign a quiet admission of defeat. Jordan, meanwhile, became a local legend, his R-44 a symbol of hope rather than nuisance. He didn't gloat, didn't need to. The fire had spoken louder than any argument could. In the end, Crestwood rebuilt, scarred but stronger. Jordan kept flying, training new volunteers to use the chopper for future emergencies. His story spread, inspiring others to step up when crisis called, proving that one person's passion could outshine even the fiercest flames. Karen moved away, her lesson learned in the heat of her own rescue. And Crestwood? It learned that sometimes the loudest critics are the ones who need saving most. What do you think was Karen's change of heart enough to make up for her actions? Or should she have faced more consequences for trying to ground Jordan's life-saving work? Share your thoughts below.